Yo.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Yeah.
Geek Speak, the definitive 365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish redone whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 365 Flicks podcast. This is another indie talk. I am Kevin, the pissy ex-video store clerk, and the man Nick... Oh, Chris, you're going to have to stop doing this, man. I have been left to my own devices once again. Chris is not here. There's a reason behind this one. I've been very, very selfish on this account. This is an indie talk. This is an indie talk, as you'll see by the title of the episode, an indie talk with writer-director Ed Lilly, who I've been speaking to for a couple of weeks now. He made a movie called Versus that well and truly took me by surprise. Versus, if you saw the review on the website, on Nerdly and all that kind of thing, if you saw my review, which I pretty much just went mental with and just blew smoke square up this guy's butthole for hours and hours. Versus is a movie about the UK battle rap scene, but it's more than that. Like, when you read the synopsis, it pretty much says this is a movie about the UK battle rap scene, and that's about all the synopsis will tell you on IMDb. But this movie is so much more than that. The movie centres around a main character called Adam, who is played by Connor Swindles, beautifully, by the way. And Adam sort of has grown up in foster care. He's on the Last Chance Saloon. Things are going pretty bad for him. This is going to be the last time he gets the big move, and then it's off to, I don't know, like a home or something, some horrible stuff like that. So that's going on. He meets a girl called Michaela, who introduces him to the underground rap battle scene, and he kind of starts finding a niche. Like, this is something he's really good at. He's good at battling and stuff like that. And the movie goes on, and it's all about him dealing with his inner demons while rap battling and being awesome. But at the same time, it turns out that the place he's moved to, Southend, his biological mum is there, and he's going to have to deal with that as well. A loaded movie, a very, very loaded movie. I was somewhat blown away by this film. Really, you'll hear me saying to Ed on a few occasions just how this film got me, because it did. So, before we get into that, though, I guess I got some pimpage to do. You can find the 365 Flicks podcast on the iTunes. You can find us on the Spotifys, the Stitchers, the YouTubes. We don't really pimp the YouTubes that often. We are on some amazing websites and networks like the Tangent Bound Network. Big Mark over there is doing great things. The Wicked Radio Network, Big Sexy Dev, is doing great things. We love Dev, although they kind of are a bit defunct now. Maybe I shouldn't bother saying that. We are on Nerdly, nerdly.co.uk, where you can read my reviews. You can see the interview episodes. You can see our normal episodes. You can read reviews by Jason Brigger from History of Bad Ideas. There you go, Jason. Free plug for you there. Loads of good stuff over at Nerdly. We love Nerdly. We be geeks. Danger Entertainment is our new home, which you'll hear the bumper at the start. We love a bit of Danger Entertainment. There's some fantastic podcasts over there. Actually, our featured promo for a podcast will be from Danger Entertainment, so go over and find that one. And a whole host of other places that you can find us. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, at 365 Flicks Podcast or at 365 Flicks Pod. We try and keep it easy. You will find us. And when you do, throw us a cheeky like, throw us a cheeky follow, throw us a cheeky 5-star review on the old iTunes. Not 3, not 4, but 5. And if you want to give us a 5-star review but talk shit about us, that's cool too. You can do that. We really don't mind. 5 stars is 5 stars. But yeah, so, Versus. I mean, I did my review about it. I thought this movie, I think it's got an amazing up-and-coming cast, a fantastic up-and-coming cast, led by Connor Swindles, who is just insane in this film. You can currently see him on Netflix as the Sex Education. I haven't actually watched any of it yet. Apparently it's really good. It's getting like some pretty damn good reviews. So, yep, Sex Education. On the Netflix, you can see Connor there. He's also in a movie called The Vanishing with Gerard Butler and the always, always, always amazing Peter Mullen. Like, you know, when you watch a movie with Peter Mullen, you're getting a good performance. It doesn't matter. But Connor is phenomenal in Versus. Shorty Horror's up in there. Anybody who knows anything about the UK battle rap scene, or even just the battle rap scene, you know who Shorty Horror is. Adam Rooney, the man that is Shorty Horror, is in this movie. Acting debut type thing in a big feature release, and he's pretty bloody good, actually. I mean, he's playing Shorty Horror in a sense, but he's pretty bloody good. When he gets a chance to do some acting, he's doing some acting. He's great. Like, I was really kind of blown away by him. He's pretty damn good. Fola Evans Akingbola as Michaela, the lady that brings our lead into the rattle rap scene. You can currently see her in a TV series called Siren, which I believe is on SFX or something like that. It's supposedly really good. I've read a lot about it. She is great in this as well. Emily Taff is fantastic. She is the sort of the biological mother character. You can currently see her in the TV series War and Peace. Lucky Man, the what's his name, James Nesbitt show. She's got a lot going on. She's great. Ed is a fantastic director. This is his first movie, though. This is his feature debut, written and directed by himself and Daniel Hayes, and they have taken this movie about underground battle rap, thrown some real talk in there, and as you'll hear during my interview, I'm not ashamed to say it, this hit me where I live. It deals with a lot of sort of societal issues with sort of the the care system, foster care and all that. It gets a bad rap. It gets a really bad rap. You see it all in the media, on the news, in the newspapers. They only ever show you the bad things because, who really wants to see the good stuff that happens out there? That's not what the news is about, I guess. And this movie does throws in some Good Will Hunting, sort of a little bit of Antoine Fisher. If you've seen that movie, if you haven't seen that movie, go and watch it. Denzel Washington is phenomenal in that movie. But this movie kind of shows you that they're not all bad. There's some really great social workers out there, and I know there is because I grew up in the system, and I know that they're out there, and foster carers out there. I know there's good ones out there because I've been there, and the film shows that side of it, and I was really, really blown away by the care and attention that these guys showed to getting that right. So it's not just were they making sure they got the battle rap scene right and working with the guys from Don't Flop and stuff like that, but they wanted to make sure they got the other side of this movie right. And for me personally, other people might not agree, I really don't care, but for me personally, as someone who this movie hit where they live, they nailed it. I can't thank Ed enough for coming on the show. I took up way much more time than I expected to with him, but we really just wanted to get into things and really talk about the movie and the sort of through line of the movie, and we got into it, and I'm so glad that he gave a viewer who's been there a chance to sort of to ask him how did you come up with the writing, how did you manage to write something so visceral and so on the money, because they did. And it's great. I was really pleased when he hit me back on Twitter and he read the review. He's happy with the review. I mean, if you've read the review, I mean, anybody would be happy with it. It's a fantastic review. Pretty much, I do mention that there are some flaws in the movie, but none that I could really gripe on too much. They would have just been minor gripes for me, basically, because they hit the nail on the head with everything else. And I think movies like this need to be seen. So if you get a chance, Versus, you can get it on the digital download. It's on the likes of the YouTube, the Google Play, the iTunes. It's everywhere digitally streaming. You can find it. Please go and give it a watch. I recommend you do. Or you can get yourself on Amazon and you can get the DVD and buy the DVD. Please show the guys some support, because physical's better than digital, and please just show them some support. Buy the movie, watch the movie, and then get yourself on Twitter and tell these guys how bloody good it is and how well they've done, and please just do that. So the interview with Ed is coming now. Again, it's a bit of a long one. It's not overly long, but it's a bit of a long one, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to the guy, and I feel like we dealt with some of the stuff that we needed to deal with, and he's very open and honest about the whole process, and I'm really happy to have spoken to him. And who knows, we might be getting some more Ed Lilly movies, possibly some TV shows. I can't wait to see what this guy does next, because this movie came out and floored me. So let's see what you've got next, and let's keep this train moving, Ed. I'm really, really happy you came on the show, and thank you so much for giving me the time to speak to you about it. This one was personal. It was a nice personal one to do, and I'm happy, and that's why I didn't even tell Chris we were doing it. I was like, nah, Chris, I'm not telling you that. I'm just going to do this myself and do my own thing. Chris will be back, though. Chris will be back. We have the Stairs episodes coming. We have got lots of interviews now. We've done them. Not all of them, but we've done most of them. They're coming. So Tom Payton's Stairs movie, we are going to be talking about it soon. You're going to be hearing a whole bunch of that. The regular Schmegular show will be back with a vengeance. We've kind of been, piss-farting about for the last couple of weeks, but we're getting there. We are back with a vengeance. I wanted everybody to hear this episode, hear this interview. Ed is fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody go out and check out Versus. Interview in progress.
I'm from where Reggie Craig got rich as fuck. East London, who am I to miss tradition up?
Look, Adam, I know you've been moved around a lot and things haven't worked out.
Stands flat cap in the Burberry Max.
What would you say your name was?
Michaela, but everyone calls me Matt. If you enjoyed that last battle, please can we make some noise?
What kind of shit is this? Something from the closet of someone that's in the closet and never has a beard with it.
For the tricks where you never seen them.
Living large, spitting bars. You got an ex-boyfriend that thinks he's hard.
They've got to fix you a matchup. They're going to try and throw you off. They're going to get up in your face.
UGLY ugly. I just had to spell it out because I knew you were dummy.
Can you keep your composure? I'm looking at you. I don't think you can.
This man is a huge neek. You're actually too sweet. Your words don't match your actions. You're Bruce Lee. You move like your Ice Cube packing the Uzi, but you're less fuck the police and more family move. Now, baby, you're a bunch versus a bird of prey. I've already heard every word he sprays.
Your mum's been in touch. She's asked to see you.
Adam.
I have the absolute pleasure of speaking to Ed Lilly, writer and director of a movie that I came across called Versus, about the underground battle rap scene, with a very powerful sort of a B-plot story to go alongside it that really kind of knocked me for six. If anybody saw my review on our website or has heard me talk about it on the podcast, you will know the movie I'm talking about. Versus is a fantastic film that I couldn't wait to speak to Ed about, and he's come on the show finally, and it's great to have him on. So how are you doing, Ed?
How you doing, Kev? Yeah, good to be on.
Yeah, man, I was like, we get some response when we put the reviews out, like some directors and actors and all that reading the reviews, and it's always really nice to know that you guys are seeing them and reading them, and it's fantastic to hear that, but it's even better when you say you'll come on the show as well.
Yeah, well, how could I not after the review? I was blown away by the review, and really pleased that you guys connect with it so much. So yeah, it's a pleasure, really. Yeah, I'm keen to chat it all through.
It's another one of those ones that, like, when a movie sort of hits you and gets you where you live, kind of thing, and then you're writing a review and you realise that you're only writing great things, and you're kind of like, I need to dial this back somehow. People are just going to be like, what's this kid on? But I really couldn't. I couldn't dial it back on this film. This film really got me. It's a fantastic film. But let's talk about yourself, Ed, first. Basically, This is your first sort of feature. You've done a couple of shorts, I see, But this is your first feature. So first of all, how did Ed sort of get into the movie scene? How did you get your training? How did you become a director? Was it a conscious choice, or did you just fall into it?
Yeah, it's always a conscious choice. I mean, it's difficult a thing to just fall into. I actually had somebody write that on Twitter or something. I don't know how anybody could fall into it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I studied at Salford University, and I did a film and radio production course, basically, and just started making kind of little shorts and recreating, favourite scenes from movies through uni. And then when I came out of uni, I just continued to make shorts, and just really like kind of picked up the buzz for it, really. And that kind of continued, and that continued all the way to making a short film called The Hive that was funded by the UK Film Council when they were still. And that went on and did quite well, and like won a Vimeo, was nominated in the Vimeo Awards and was staff picked, and it was just ended up being kind of a 15-minute short that I was kind of happy with in terms of like it being able to, show what I could do as a director, with the performances and with the shooting style and just telling a story. So that was in 2010, 2011. And, from that point, I was trying to get a longer short made. I was trying to get, a block on a TV show, but it was really difficult still. So Dan and I, who I co-wrote verses with, in 2012, I think we started, to write our own feature script, basically, on spec, just on our own, and that was verses.
That was verses, so that's 2012. That's a good 6 years.
Yeah, it's been 6 years from the point of conception to the point of release in cinemas in the UK. Dan and I did two years just on our own, like just refining the idea, refining the outline, and then kind of building towards that first draft before we'd even kind of sent it to our agent. And at that point we then pitched it around to production companies, and luckily had 2 or 3 offers for people to kind of work with us to develop it. And went with a company called Wild Gaze Films and a young producer called Bennett McGee. And we did another year with them before pitching it to the BBC, and then did another year script development with them before it started going into production. So, it was kind of, I don't think it's that long generally, like obviously films happen quicker, but you see The Favourite, and I've seen various estimates of how long like that film was in development, from 12 years to 20 years or so these things take time. But actually, Dan and I put an awful lot of work into the script, and it was the only way I could feel like completely comfortable going in to kind of direct my first film. I wanted to make sure that we got it right, and that it was as good as it possibly could be before we kind of went into production. So it stood us in good stead, that period of time.
So was you're saying different people coming on board in the meantime when you're sort of like trying to get the spec script and stuff, like, was anybody coming in and sort of saying, oh, let's change this, let's change that, or was it very much yours and Dan's baby, kind of like, this is what we're writing and this is how it's going to go? Yeah, no,
everyone just... Dan and I had got the script in a pretty good place by the time we were pitching it to production companies, and then the work we did with Bennett and Wild Gaze, got it in better shape to take to the BBC.
Yeah.
Then when the BBC came on, like, they were very good, like, they were very excited about it. We didn't expect them, BBC at that moment, they weren't really financing, first-time directors. They weren't really making films in this kind of urban youth genre. They'd made, they'd had Ill Manners, but that was kind of, they'd had money on Ill Manners, but that was through like a film microwave scheme, outside of the kind of iFeatures, and the funding schemes, they weren't really doing it. So, it just was the right time where they were just starting to think that they needed to do more of that. And yeah, their notes were amazing. Like the script in that year we did with them, we did 3 drafts, and it came on so much. And they kind of always admitted that they didn't really know the world well as we did, and they let us get on with that. But their notes in terms of character development and storyline were bang on the money, really. And, but actually the script was in a good place by the time they'd got there. So what we did with them was bolster kind of the supporting characters, the supporting storylines. We actually did quite a lot of work with Katie, the single mum character, with them.
Yeah.
I think their kind of thoughts were that it was in a good place and they just wanted to kind of bolster everything else outside of Adam's story. So, yeah, it was great. It was good. We were never taken down a path that we didn't want to go down at all.
So the first part of there's sort of two through lines in this movie, and I want to deal with the first part first because I think the second part is where sort of the movie got me. But the main through line of the film is the story of Adam, who is sort of had a bit of a messed about childhood, bit of a messed about life, and he's brought into the life of the UK battle rap scene, which I used to watch YouTube videos of all that kind of scene and everything like that. I don't know a great deal about it. I'll guarantee you know a hell of a lot more than I do about it. But it was enough to interest me, and sort of like I was into watching those videos, in 8 Mile and everything like that. And I'm sure your movie's been compared to that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to like your experiences of the battle rap scene, is it something that you know a lot about, or was it you kind of just researched it because you thought, let's put this in the movie and let's make this sort of the storyline around it, or is it something you grew up with?
Yeah, I've just been a casual fan, of battle rap for about 10 years, really, watching Don't Flop. Mainly watching Don't Flop as kind of Rowan built that up. And I came out of university and started making kind of some low-budget videos for Manchester rappers like Skittles and Virus Syndicate, and then I started working with Shotty Horror, and this is like 10 years ago, 2007, 2008, around that time. So me and Shotty must have made 2 or 3 music videos together.
Nice. And
so we've known each other a while, so I've kind of followed his rise through it when he started getting into it too. And I just the UK hadn't done a battle rap film, and battle rap now is a lot different to what people know from 8 Mile. It's now a cappella, it's now pre-written, and so I just saw a really good opportunity. And battle rap just provides such a great basis for dramatic storytelling. And actually I looked at 8 Mile as well, and like there is some battle rap in it, but actually it doesn't have the same structure. We went for Karate Kid, really putting battle rap at the center of the storyline, and like all the major, like quite a lot of the major plot points happen in the battles, and that was really important to us. So it wasn't just this kind of side show thing. It was really intrinsic to the story. And so I introduced Dan to battle rap in 2012, and he'd never seen anything, and he's by his own admission, not the type of person to have ever have been interested in that. And he was just blown away by like how creative and intelligent and funny and witty it was, and the community. And we just started to think, if Dan, having not seen anything, can be, that engaged with it, maybe other people can as well. So,
The thing is, it is very engaging, and you guys really put a point across in this movie that I think it's Michaela kind of describes it as like poetry, and it is poetry. That's definitely what it is. But like when you have seen it in the past, I mean, it's not so much of a stigma now, but when you have seen it in the past, it's sort of like, oh, that's battle rap, that's that thing over there that's going to cause problems. But your movie Versus really kind of shows that, like you say, there is a very big community in there, and it does drive people, and you see Adam very much changing throughout the movie because of it, and sort of dealing with his inner struggle, which I loved. Like you say, it's not a B plot; it is exactly the plot.
Absolutely. Well, we wanted to kind of present battle rap in a really positive way, as well as young people. We wanted to kind of progress the urban movie genre and not make it about gangs and criminals, and really portray young people as like ambitious, and driven, and they're doing this kind of subculture that they own that's very DIY. As some crossovers kind of with the grime scene that's been built over the last 15, 20 years in the UK. And, I just saw an opportunity to really be quite positive with it. And, obviously wanted to try and represent battle rap in as authentic way as possible. And, but still kind of the way we wanted to do it was kind of put it in a story that, had an emotional core to it, and that wasn't, just a lot of long battle rap sequences, that was actually really driven by a good character story as well. So,
you do get that. A lot of the battles kind of, at some point, either at the end of the battle or halfway through the battle, it touches on your plot. Like the very first battle sort of ends with, I mean, I'm not going to try and do any spoilers here, but it ends with something that fine well as soon as it gets said, oh, that's coming back.
yeah, absolutely. And Adam, when Adam first goes to battle, that's the time where, the B plot, the kind of his personal story really kind of starts entering the battle scene.
Yeah, man.
And with the structure, with the Karate Kid structure, you're always going to have your kind of fish out of water protagonist end up battling, the top guy in the end. So you're building towards that, and the audience know. And it's just about trying to get there in kind of a surprising and interesting way. So,
in the obviously you have your antagonist, you have your protagonist. In the sort of the writing phase, I know you guys were writing it for a long time, and you've known Shotty for a long time. How instrumental was Shotty Horror in sort of showing you how to really, I don't know how to really put it, how to orchestrate these raps, and sort of, did he have a lot to do with that, or?
So so I didn't talk to Shotty about it for years. Like, I was working on it for years. No, so in my head, I always knew that I wanted Shotty to play Slaughter, and it was so difficult not to. I mean, we weren't in like constant contact or anything, but we were very able to just like get in touch with each other, and it was really difficult not to like talk to him about it until we were at the point where I felt like it was real. Like, BBC had greenlit it. We were just starting casting, and then I sort of got in touch. I was like, look, this is what we've got. So, I mean, how Dan and I didn't write the rap battle lyrics. Like, we wrote placeholders that kind of talked about style, content, story beats. And then we brought on Rowan from Don't Flop and a team of writers, to write a lot of the lyrics. But Shotty wrote his own lyrics, obviously. And then Paige, who plays Missy, she wrote her own lyrics. So I just wanted to show, like, it was important that different people wrote different lyrics for the characters, because there's so many different styles, different voices in battle rap. And I didn't want it all to sound the same. So we had a team. I think in the end, like 6 people were credited on the rap battle of it. But I mean, Shotty was good. I mean, Rowan, Shotty, all those guys, like working with them in prep, working with them, on the final. Rowan gave us a set of notes on the draft, like that. Kind of, talked about some of the dialogue and phrases that we were using, and we weren't a million miles away. I felt like I had a pretty good handle on it. But they definitely had some good input. And even on the shoot, we shot the script, but they were just it was very useful to have that knowledge on the set, so that when you're designing the shots, designing the battles, and, Rowan and Shotty and the rest of them were on hand just to give us good advice.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a cracking little cast in this movie as well, so I think everybody would have been a fantastic sort of contribution. But so there's the other part of the movie that, like I say, like I had a passing interest in the battle rap. I don't know overly that much about that scene, but I've seen stuff on YouTube and I've seen stuff happening. But the thing that really got to me was the other part of the story, which is Adam's sort of life, which, again, will not go massively into anything, but basically sort of he's grown up in the system, which, first thing I want to say to you on that is simply, so many times I've seen movies where that is a throwaway plot, like, oh, he grew up in foster care, or he grew up in the system, or whatever, and it's a throwaway line. And for a second, I kind of maybe thought that might be the thing here. Like, this is just going to be a little bit of backstory. But man, do you focus on this.
Mm.
You guys really went in on this for me, and I guess the first thing I want to ask is, because they say you write what you know.
Mm.
Is this a thing that you and Daniel yourselves have had experience with, or know somebody that's had experience with, or because you're writing on these scenes and these characters, your dialogue is really visceral and it's excellent, in my opinion?
Well, thank you. Well, no, I appreciate that. Dan and I, the way we kind of started on this plot is like Dan and I talked about our childhood and our relationship with our parents, and so that's where we started with it. I mean, neither Dan and I grew up in care or went through the system, but Dan has worked as kind of a support worker to social workers and foster carers. So he has good kind of knowledge about kind of like the way the system works, and had access to talk to people, you know, and in the script development we talked to foster carers and support workers, and we just took on quite a lot of advice. But yeah, Dan was really a good source of kind of making sure that we were accurately kind of representing that part of the story.
Good. And that explains the Terry character.
Yeah, the Terry character. I mean, I know Dan, I can't quite remember, but Dan had very specific people in mind that were real life people when he was writing both Fiona and Terry. And actually, Fiona was a very different character until about 2 drafts before, like for years, until about 2 drafts before we started shooting. And I think we weren't happy with like that she was giving us enough like energy, and you know, some of it was, we just thought that she could be improved, and Dan, you know, took the lead on doing a big rewrite of Fiona and based it on somebody that he'd known, and it came out, you know, quite quirky, quite kooky, you know, had this real kind of special ability to gauge with young people in a way that didn't put their back up, you know, a bit cringy at times, the dialogue. It's her act, isn't it? Kind of, you know, we kind of had to really focus on why is Fiona such a special foster carer? Like, why is she so good at a job? Why is Terry taking Adam to her as a last chance? And, you know, all of these things kind of were put into her character and made her come out the way she did. I mean, there's some moments with Fiona that just beautifully designed and beautifully performed by Ruth Sheen as well.
Yeah, I love that you kind of you say like the quirky act and everything that she's putting on, or not putting on, but the quirkiness of the character. But she gets this really, really nice sort of like a Robin Williams sort of Good Will Hunting vibe towards the end.
Yeah,
and that scene's great as well. I mean, you'd already torn my heart out by that point, but then she it sounds terrible. This is like a really unprofessional interview right now, but but yeah, like you'd already kind of taken me on this little journey, and then Ruth Sheen, as she just has this little moment towards the end that I was just like, yes, right there.
Absolutely, and I have to give Dan like lots of credit for that, because he really took a massive lead on Fiona's character in particular, and that moment that you're talking about. Yeah. I remember the first time Dan sent the draft back to me, and I read it, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" Like, can we swear yet? I was like, "Wow, that is a moment," and a moment where, as a director, you're like, "I'm so excited about, you know, trying to make this moment land." On the page, it was just beautiful anyway.
And again, the scene earlier on that I keep on alluding to, like, is powerful as hell. I'd had that sort of conversation in my life, but this scene with Ruth Sheen and Fiona at that point is kind of like I've been in that sort of scenario. Like I've had a carer that is just kind of like, no, I'm not gonna, like, and it's like it's exactly what you need at that point in time, you know. And again, you just nailed it. I mean, and it's great because the one thing that I think I said it in my review was, so many times in the media or on TV and TV shows and movies, the care system is shown to be this horrific thing, you know, and very rarely do you see the good guys.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see the Terrys or the Fionas. And that's what I loved about what you guys did. Like, you got to see these guys who weren't going to give up on people, who were there to help. And
yeah, absolutely. We had I looked at Boy A. We looked at Boy A lot, you know, which
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the story about, you know, the guy who'd come out of prison, having been to prison for a long time as a child for murder, and being kind of reintegrated back into society. And Peter Mullin played an amazing role as a kind of a support worker, helping this young guy reintegrate back in. And, you know, that kind of relationship, you know, built on kind of warmth and, you know, both of them kind of vulnerable in a way, and a lot of care, you know, was what we looked at when we were kind of looking at Adam and Terry. And we actually always had Nicholas Pinnock, who plays Terry, and Ruth Sheen in mind for the roles. Like, we wrote them. Yeah, like, even when we were like writing and nobody had even seen a draft, and it was just you know, crazy for us to get all the way to the point where we offered them the roles and they both accepted. Was just a nice part of the process as well.
Well, let's jump onto that. You like you've just said, Nicholas Pinnock as Terry and Ruth Sheen as Fiona. Dream castings for you. Your dream come true when they say yes, I'm guessing. But in the lead role of Adam, we've already talked about Shorty Horror a little bit, but in the lead role of Adam, Connor Swindles, I mean, Jesus, this kid. Like, I've not seen any of this. He's in this Netflix show right now, Sex Education, is it?
Yeah.
I've not seen any of that yet, but I have seen him in other things, and this guy, the raw intensity that this guy brought to your film. So how did Connor come into the movie, and was that...
Yeah, so Connor, I mean, this is kind of, everything I've thought about Connor for the last few years of knowing him. Like, when we did a big open casting session, because we didn't know, and none of the characters, we didn't know their kind of, none of them had set like ethnicities.
Yeah.
So we could have come from any background. So we did this, I wanted to do this big, wide open casting, looking at trained actors, untrained actors, musicians, battle rappers. No, particularly for the role of Adam, it really was just about finding someone very special, breaking new talent. And so Connor came into an open audition where we were doing, you know, groups of 10. They were doing some improvisation. I just wanted to kind of see who they were as a person, you know, like their presence. And I remember when he first kind of walked in, and he definitely had a presence about him. He was very quick-witted. He was quite destructive. Like, he was obviously a little bit angry, you know, like, not like actors usually are. When actors come into the audition, obviously they're kind of on best behaviours. They're on, you know, like, chatty and sociable, and they're giving their best performance and stuff. Connor looked like he didn't even want to be there. And that's exactly what we were looking for, you know, like, Adam as a character, you know, has these issues. And so, you know, but he could obviously, we didn't see much of him in the improv, and then we asked him to come in and he declined, and he sent a tape instead. And then we said, look, we really need you to come in now. And he came in, and he did some kind of reads with Fowler, Evans Akambola, who ended up playing Michaela, and then we asked him to do a reading. It was an old draft of the scene you're talking about in the middle of the film, where he goes to a contact centre to meet his birth mum, and we never really, in the audition process, I didn't want to use the script because I don't want it to lose like its kind of magic and its spontaneity and all that kind of stuff. And so we're doing an old draft, and in the reading, it was just getting better and better. And then as he was going on, like, I could see him kind of like losing himself. And I just kind of knew that he wasn't acting anymore, and that he was connecting to it on a really personal level. And so this kind of read is like 2.5 minutes. And from about halfway in, I know that I know what he's going to tell me at the end of the reading. And he gets to the end and he kind of breaks down in tears, and we give him a moment. And, you know, he said this in his press as well, but, you know, his mum died when he was 7. And yeah, so Connor had this very, very personal connection to, you know, playing this young guy who had been abandoned by his mum. And, you know, I think, you know, the great thing about Connor was that he was just willing and courageous enough to kind of access all those, you know, personal feelings. So, like, you know, I knew he was going to say that, and he said that. And then, you know, he was such a special talent in the readings, and we could see that, and we cast him. And then through the kind of process, you know, of doing those scenes in particular, there's 3 or 4 scenes where he kind of has interactions with his mum. So they were always emotionally charged. Like, they were always very difficult scenes for both of us. We both had very personal connections to them. And yeah, it was very hard, you know, like shooting those scenes, particularly for Connor.
I bet.
Yeah, it was just very, you know, bonding. It bonded us, you know, like the 2 of us, you know, we're great friends, and, you know, but you know, ultimately, I think, you know, we both loved kind of, you know, going through that process together as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's that's it explains a lot about his performance, to be honest, because in that scene that we keep on alluding to, it's kind of like I don't think you can, no matter how good of an actor you are, you could be the best actor out there. I don't think you can quite get there without having been there.
Yeah.
And he does absolutely pull out the bag in that scene. And I honestly don't know Lisa, Emily Taff across from him. I don't know how, obviously the way things are filmed, I'm sitting there and I'm like, how does she as an actress keep composure there? And that's why I'm so glad that, like, there's this little beat as he kind of storms out, and it seems like she's kept composure, and you see her internally just break.
Yeah.
And I love that scene. I absolutely love that scene.
That's so good to hear, because I love that scene as well. And like, you know, Dan and I did like 100+ drafts of that scene, more probably, like more like 150 or whatever. And we it was pretty much the most important scene for us to get right. It's like 7 pages or 6 minutes or something in the middle of the film. It's a real like centerpiece. And, you know, when we came to shoot it, like, you know, Emily, we kept Connor and Emily apart, like, for the whole shoot. Like, when they meet on camera in the film, that's the first time they actually met. Connor didn't even know who was going to play.
Oh, no.
Like, we'd shown, like, Emily old photos of Connor when he was young, and so she didn't really know who she was going to meet. And so we just kind of...
So you guys were torturing these guys?
Yeah, it's not torture. I mean, Connor would like, really appreciated that.
Yeah, definitely.
We did too. You know, it's difficult for them. You know, we just kept them apart really, and I never talked to them about that scene in the middle together, because, you know, we don't want to be chatting and all nice. They want to just, you know, find their way with each other. But that scene, you know, Emily as well was drawing on her own personal issues. You know, she had her own stuff going on that just meant that both of them were in that room drawing on stuff that Dan and I hadn't written, and it was just feeding, you know, the scene, and it was quite difficult to manage at times, because Emily was very, very upset, upset, and the first take or two, you know, and she won't mind me saying it, I think she struggled to hold it together, like, you know, like, but then we went through a few takes, and you know, it was basically a big mix. Like, some of the takes were really defensive and angry, and then some were really upset. And, you know, actually, me and Emmanuel, who edited it, we just kind of, between all the takes, we kind of plotted it out. But yeah, no, that moment where kind of Emily loses it at the end of the scene, you can see them both trying to keep it together. And I think that's the most powerful thing. There's one thing seeing people really upset, but when you can see somebody trying to hold it together, like, that's even more powerful. So.
Yeah, it is one of those things where I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I won't lie, I'm totally rooting for Adam in that scene. I'm sitting there and I'm like, go on, you get a tell, you get it all off your chest, mate. But when you get that quick little beat as he's out, and she leaves it just long enough, and then breathes out kind of thing, and you're just like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, like, we wanted to make sure that, Emily's character wasn't just a punch bag as well, but at the same time, Adam is so angry and he's so upset with her, and, the scene kind of, like, it's very awkward at the start, and then, Emily's character is making all the effort, and then you can see Adam's character kind of remember what Terry has told him and make a bit of effort. But then he kind of, he's kind of raw emotions take over, and he gets angry, and then he gets upset. It's just such a little roller coaster within a couple of lines. It's like it's shifting like so quickly, and that's what we wanted it to do when we wrote it. But when Emily and Connor were doing it, it was just even more than we could have imagined, or I could anyway. So, it was great.
Well, I'm man enough to say right here on the podcast. Now, anybody who's listened to the podcast knows I'm a little sissy when it comes to these things anyway, because I've been there kind of thing. But I'm man enough to say that I was lying in bed, I was watching this on my phone with the headphones in, and yeah, that scene destroyed me. So you did a cracking job there. If the aim is to destroy people, you did a really good job.
That's always the aim. Well, to be honest, like, I think, I always want to be emotionally engaged.
Yes,
like,
definitely.
On that level, like, I, regularly, cry at various things, but it's kind of what we wanted to do. I think when you've got rap battles going on that are hilarious, funny, beat, and you've got these fast-paced, musically driven montages, what was a difficult part of the script process, and also in shooting it, was making sure that you can marry that up and then go and have these moments of, like, raw emotion as well. It's like, that's everything that I kind of want as an audience member. But also in reality, it's like, how do you create something that shifts so quickly? And that was kind of the challenge for us. But in the end, you realise that, you have quite a lot of freedom, and the audience will go on the journey with you, and, you can kind of go between these kind of, crude rap battles, and then have these quiet moments of real emotion. And, yeah, that's kind of what we wanted to do across the whole film, really.
I think that was kind of my thing with it. Was I obviously watched the trailer before I watched it, so I knew there was a little bit of that going on, but I guess I didn't think there'd be that much of that going on, if you know what I mean. So, like, I'm sitting watching it, and I'm having a laugh at the rap battles going on, like you say. There is really great music in this. I mean, for a quick second, the soundtrack to this film is brilliant. Not just like the battle rapping and everything. It's got a really good soundtrack, some fantastic, like you say, montages and stuff. And you manage to throw this little bit of real talk in there, and sort of, I was really, I don't want to say surprised because it sounds quite patronising, but I was surprised that this sort of UK battle rap movie that I was about to watch took me on a journey, and I wasn't expecting it. I really wasn't expecting it, and I think that's why I mean, my review spoke levels. I couldn't say enough nice things about it, because you guys did something that last year the movie Bodied came out, which is sort of on the same thing, but it's sort of like that movie kind of wishes it could be this movie, if you know what I mean. Like, it didn't have nearly the heart, it didn't have nearly the soul. And Versus just really kind of, it took me by surprise, and I'm not ashamed to say that to you.
No, I appreciate that. Well, it was really interesting, like, because Bodied ended up coming out, around the same time as Versus, which was really mad that two kind of battle rap films.
Yeah, I can imagine working on your movie for 12 years and then that happens.
Yeah, well, to be honest, like it kind of makes sense because battle rap around 2012, 2013 had a real like peak, so it kind of makes sense, you know. And also the Canadian Battle League, where a lot of the battlers embodied are from, and the UK Battle League are very connected. Do you know what I mean? They battle each other and they know each other, and so it kind of all makes sense. I mean, what surprised me about Bodied is like how different a movie it is to Versus. You've got two rap battle movies, and they're completely different films. And you know, there's no way that I could have made Bodied. Like Bodied is hilarious. It's high energy. It's, you know, very American. You know, where in the same sense that, you know, I think Versus is very British and draws on, very kind of British filmmaking styles, and you know, and they're just such different films. So I think what the great thing about it is they both have their place, and actually, like, they're battle rap movies, but they're not even they can't even compete with one another because they're so different. So. Yeah, it was just really good. I watched Bodied at Fight Fest in London, and Joseph Kahn was actually there and gave a quick intro talk, and I just loved it. I just, you know, sat there and laughed for 2 hours straight, and the battle sequences were amazing, really well put together, and it just had a lot to say, didn't it, about, you know, censorship and race and, you know, all kinds of good thematics. So. Yeah, it's just really interesting time, like the two battle rap films came out.
Were you secretly sitting there watching it going, ours is better than this?
A bit of thinking, I want to fucking hate this film. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want this film to be so shit. And then for the first half an hour, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to let that idea
go. No, I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah. And then I come out and actually went, because Rowan from Don't Flop, I had been working with on our film, was in there, and he was just like, yeah, it's amazing. It's so good. It's so funny, isn't it? I was like, I know. But yeah, I think, you know, you're right. Like, you know, in that sense, I think it's amazing, but it doesn't have the same story and the same character story that Versus has. And, you know, in some sense, kind of that what drives me, like, as a writer and as a director, that's always what I'm looking for. So, you know, I think tonally and from a story point of view, you know, and from a style point of view, like, is why, you know, I don't feel like I could have made Bodied, but I obviously could make Versus.
Well, I'm glad you did make Versus and not Bodied. So on that, Versus is out now. It's out digitally. People can get it on the likes of the iTunes. That's where I got it. You can get it on Google Play. It's on YouTube, I believe.
Is it? Yeah, I think it's kind of everywhere.
But it's also now being released on physical, so people can get the DVD, and I'm assuming Blu-ray. Is Blu-ray out there?
I'm not sure about Blu-ray. I know DVDs for sure. You can get them from Amazon. I think Tesco's are selling them as well.
Yeah, so. I'm gonna grab myself a copy. It's nice having the digital, but it's really nice having physical.
Oh, that's good. There's also because on the premiere of Versus, the opening night of Versus, the opening release, we did a rap battle broadcast live into cinemas on the opening night, and that battle is on the DVD extras as well. And Gemini versus Cortez, who's an American battler.
Nice,
really great.
So before I let you go or anything like that, Connor's obviously a great, fantastic actor. He pulled in from a totally different place from that movie. Like, his performance is great. I'm guessing he is quite a proficient battle rapper as well. Like,
yeah, well, he didn't. He hadn't done anything. Like, when we cast him, we went to Birmingham to watch some battle rap, and so he kind of got an idea of what it was. But then in the meantime, we cast him, and then in the time between we shot, he got cast in The Vanishing, which was the Butler Peter Mullen film, and they were shooting. They wanted to shoot before us, so he ended up going to shoot that first, and then he had about a week between. He had about 10 days between coming off that and start shooting us. So he didn't have very much time. He worked with Rowan. You know, he did really well. I think, you know, with battle rap being a cappella and pre-written, it obviously helps now. I think the hardest thing for him was the Missy battle, which is on beat, you know, because you know, you can't dictate the pace. You know, you have to be able to rap on beat and hear it. And also the other thing is, like, you know, he's using in-ear monitors, and there's a live crowd there, and Page is, you know, a legitimate rapper as a day job.
Yeah.
You know, it was highly pressured situation, but Connor did amazing. And actually, yeah, interesting fact about that Missy battle is what you're hearing from Connor in that verse, in that second verse versus Missy, is one take of Connor.
Really?
Yeah, it's one take, and what we're doing is matching the visuals to that one take.
Ah, right.
He nailed one take, boom, 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 and then we did it more and more. And what happens is, like, when you try and chop and change and interrupt flows, sometimes, like, it doesn't, you know, his tone's a little bit different, or his flow's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's just one take, and we're matching we're lip syncing him to that. So yeah, he did amazingly well, really.
He does, because I was like sitting there and I'm thinking, so he is like the actor in the movie. Like he's probably one of the guys that does battle rap and that doesn't come from that area. And I'm like, but he's pretty much holding his own, and he does sound like he could easily have been from that life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, at the same time, we didn't want it to be this kind of Hollywood glamorized thing where suddenly he's like the most amazing rapper, boxer, karate in the world, you know, whatever kind of sport it is. And so I think, you know, having him, you know, in his first battle, we deliberately wrote in some flaws and some stumbles and some this and that.
Yeah.
And actually, when we started to test screen it for the young people, they wanted him to be good at rapping, like, really quickly. So we ended up cutting quite a lot of, like, the missteps that he took in the film.
Right.
But yeah, you know, like, I think he does a really great job in the Missy battle, and even the final battle as well, because, you know, he's obviously in the final battle he's against Slaughter or Shotty Horror. He's like one of the best in the world, and you can see it. That was another highlight of the film for me. It was just,
it's fantastic.
You know, I'm from Southend, you know, I grew up, like, going to that pier when I was young, and now suddenly I've got, you know, all these young people, Shotty Horror giving, like, this amazing performance, you know, in the film that kind of I've written, and it's just a real surreal moment. I was like, how the hell did we end up here? And
yeah, that must be amazing.
It was a mad moment, you know, especially when I'd known Shotty so long, and I was like, you know, spent a lot of time, because I lived in Manchester, that's how I knew him, and spent a lot of time in his kind of, like, area of the world. And so to have him now on Southend Pier, you know, doing what he does best and giving such an incredible performance, you know, he's such a showman and so dramatic with the way he battles, and great pace and great energy, you know.
Was there any point when you guys were filming those scenes and he was like, look, I don't really care about your movie, I'm winning this battle?
Yeah, no, he does say that. Yeah, he's like, he doesn't like losing. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, when he's writing, and I was like, oh, can that be a little bit, like, not quite as good or whatever? And he was really talking about, yeah. So he definitely did feel like. I mean, we don't even in the last battle. It's kind of like the way we. You know, that was a really tricky scene to kind of work out, because, you know, you want the character story to end well.
Yeah.
But you don't want Adam to kind of make the same mistakes that he's made before, but you don't want him to lose, but maybe he doesn't win. So we kind of left it a little bit open. But
yeah, it's really effective the way you guys dealt with that last battle. Like, it's and you know what it is? It's just kind of dawned on me that there's a line in that last battle that is delivered by Adam about the thing he says in the first rap battle that. I don't know, like, now that you've kind of told me a little bit of the backstory on Connor, it really hits home how some of these scenes and some of the lines in this movie must have really affected what was going on, you know?
Oh, it's mad. I mean, Connor has said in other interviews that he felt like it was the closest he was ever going to get to meeting his mum again. And
God, that's mad.
That was in his head, you know, and particularly in the first scene where he meets Emily's character.
Yeah.
You know, like, those are the kind of thoughts going. That's the way he kind of prepared himself, and so, you know, he had such a strong connection. So yeah, there's some lines there, but I mean, Connor, what Connor's really good at is getting the level of engagement right, because, you know, he can he can come in and do what needs to be done. For an untrained actor, he's very efficient. He takes down. There's not a lot of fuck ups. It's like he hits marks. He knows where the like all the stuff that you would want. But for somebody who has never really done this, like he's very, very good. And but then in the moments that we really needed him to emotionally engage, he prepared to do that. And so he just always seems to find the right balance. And I think he's only very young still. He's 22. He's obviously picking up some good roles. But
22.
Yeah, he's 22, and he's the capacity and the potential for what he is able to achieve. Like, I don't know if he even knows it yet, but I can see it. I can see how much potential he has, and he's going to keep picking up roles, and there'll be a couple of roles that come up in the future. It might be in 5 years or 10 years where you really start to see like how good he can be, and I think he's just got a really good future ahead of him.
But you get to say that you showed the world his true versatility first.
Absolutely. I try and tell as many people as possible. I found him. No, I'm joking.
No, that's staying, and we'll leave that one in.
He was going to get there one way or another. To be honest, like, he wasn't even going to turn up to our open audition.
Like you say, it sounds like it.
His agents had to convince him to go because they thought it would be a good opportunity for him to meet the cast and director. So they persuaded him, and the rest is kind of history now, like having got our role and then The Vanishing and then Sexode. So he would have made his way, one way or another, because he has talent and other people would have seen that. But it's really special, like, to me that, we did our first kind of roles together, and, we bonded so much, for doing that film.
We're talking about Connor a lot, obviously, because he's the main character in the movie, but the rest of the cast as well is fantastic. I mean, Fola Evans Akimbola is, I think that's how you say her name, I'm not sure, but she's absolutely fantastic as well in the movie, and as you say, Miss Quotes, she's brilliant as well. Probably the best battle. Well, obviously you've got the climax battle, but that is one of the best battles in the movie, is Adam versus Miss Quotes. That's great.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Like Paige Akeke, she did really well. I think, and there's Ellie at Barnesborough who plays Odds, and Ellie James who plays Kate. It's like, I'm glad that a lot of the kind of reviews picked up on how strong the cast were, because we put a lot of effort into finding, some really, and giving opportunities to young actors who hadn't been seen before, and we put a lot of work into preparing them, and getting the performance from them, and they just all delivered. And the atmosphere on set when you have such a young group of actors was just so fun, and they just very professional but also very relaxed. And
I think that for me was one of the other things, is like, once I'd taken off my my broken childhood hat and sort of moved into, right, you're in a little bit of like reviewer mode now, you need to like talk about everything. It's kind of like, considering this is your first feature film, your first proper feature film that you've written and directed with Daniel, of course, you have, and I mentioned it a couple of times in my review, you have a phenomenal, like, young up and coming cast that, like, just nail every single scene.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer in that. If you get the right people, then you don't have to direct them that much.
Yeah, definitely.
It's all about the casting. It's all about making sure that you're confident with the people that are coming on set with you. And I just try and let them do them. I try and give them opportunities to experiment, to try and do it the way they want to do it. I don't have real set ideas about how stuff should be delivered, or I just want to kind of guide them through their performances, what's come before, what's come after, the different beats and scenes, and really try and give them as much freedom as possible to just get on with it. And then, if there's any moments where they want some help or they want some specific direction, then I can be on hand. But if you get the right people, then you know, it makes your job so much easier when you come on.
I bet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to let you go in a moment, but first of all, what's up next? What's next for Ed? What do you have anything you can talk about that you have coming up, or is it just getting verses out there and letting everybody know, or is there a project that you have but you're not allowed to tell us about, or what's next?
Yeah, there's stuff going on. I mean, I'm developing other film and TV projects. I'm also reading script, like TV shows and scripts for TV. There was a film that came up over Christmas that I thought I might do, but it just wasn't quite right. And so, yeah, it's just a few things going on. I mean, the other thing is, you know, Versus may or may not be completely over as well. We're kind of exploring, the avenues with other people on as well. But
little shared universe.
We're looking at TV, so we're
nice.
Yeah, we're having discussions about potential TV series for Versus.
Nice.
So we'll see. You know, nothing fully concrete. Development is a big, long process, but you know, I'm hoping in the next year or so to be, you know, back bringing out stuff I've even written myself, or working on stuff that's been written by other people. So yeah, we'll see.
Awesome. Yeah, that's got me excited.
Well, I think it's it's a really good. You know, I thought I'd be, you know, after 6 years, I thought I'd be done with kind of battle rap and this, but actually Versus as a concept, you know, it's high energy, it's young people, it's positive, and it allows you to kind of do these stories that are really contemporary, that kind of really focus on the social and economical issues that young people are facing in the UK, and it does everything, and it's musical, and so, you know, I'm now back, you know, with that hunger to try continue this and have more time to explore not just Adam's story, but, you know, a number of different stories involving young people. So we'll see.
Plus, as well, that scene doesn't really seem to be going anywhere right now. I mean, Don't Flop's still going strong. King of the Dot over in Canada, as you mentioned, and obviously Shotty's got his own thing with Premier Battles happening now. So it's still very much alive and kicking, and you know, you could base anything on it. It's one of those things that, a story could easily be made with it. It's fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. There's lots of opportunity.
Great, man. That's awesome. So if you want to quickly let people know where they can find you, find your work, where they can find Versus, and we'll just start wrapping it up there.
Yeah, so Versus is online on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, BFI Player, Mubi, and then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @edlilly_, and then or edlilly.com, which has my other work and lots of other information about Versus.
Cool. I have to say, there's 2 times on Twitter since I started doing this podcast and started doing these chats and interviews. There's 2 times that I've literally probably screamed inside like a little girl. One of them was when director Tom Payton got back to me after reading my review about his movie Pandorica. He got back to me and he was all like buzzing with my review and everything.
Yeah.
Subsequently, he's been on the show a couple of times now. And the other time was when you got back to me, because this movie, I can't stress enough, and I've probably said it too much, and people are going to be like, he's a bit of an asshole. But this movie really spoke to me, and it felt great to have something out there, to have this movie out there that shows that kind of life in a different light. You know, it shows that, yes, it can mess a guy up, it can really play with people, it can really mess with heads and stuff, but there are people in that sort of world that do want to help, that do want to make a difference, and I hadn't seen that for a long time in anything, and you showed it beautifully, and from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you, because you dealt with that story so beautifully, and it was really well done.
Oh man, I appreciate all of that, and I'm glad it connected with you, and I'm always glad when it connects with anyone, so I appreciate all of that. Thank you.
It's kind of like when you messaged me back, I was like, oh yes, he's read it.
I loved it. I was blown away by it, obviously. You know, like it was a hugely positive review, and yeah, it's always nice.
And as it should be, man. The film's excellent. I mean that story aside, the Adam's real life story aside, the whole battle rap scene as well, it's brilliant. Like, everybody sort of, I feel like all your characters are really well led. Even Slaughter, who's kind of just meant to be not so much the baddie but the antagonist of the movie. Like, you kind of get a sense of there's more going on here with this kid. Like, there's more happening there, and that's quite rare when you're trying to deal with such a powerful storyline that everybody else gets their moment and gets their time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. With all the kind of young leads, we wanted to make sure that they all had a bit of a start, middle, and end. You know, even if it's just three or four.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, Shotty played it so well, particularly for somebody who had never acted before.
Yeah, I won't lie. When I saw the trailer, and I think I even wrote it in my review again, when I saw the trailer and I saw Shotty Horror was in it, I was like, oh my god, Shotty Horror's in a movie. But then, like, when the reality sank in, when I started watching the movie, I'm like, oh my god, Shotty Horror's in a movie, how's this going to go?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I thought when we were going into prep.
yeah, but he's great. Like, he's basically playing just another version of himself, really, you know, like, but he plays it so well, and it's like, you're a bit of an asshole.
No, he, I mean, in reality, he's like the nicest guy.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, no, we made sure, obviously, like, the role fits him so well, but yeah, I mean, he prepared well. He worked in a group, he worked with me, he worked with an acting coach, and, you know, there's some scenes where he's not just acting, he's like leading the scene, you know, he's dictating the pace, he's dictating stuff, and you know, it was, he got into it so quickly, and I think that was testament. You know, Connor was doing something that Shotty is an expert in the rap battling.
Yeah.
Shotty was doing something that Connor is effectively an expert in, you know, so they actually helped each other on set. It was really nice to see them support each other, and you know, were there for each other in the scenes where they were together. It was great.
That's great to hear. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, man. This has been fantastic, Ed. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. I've probably taken up too much of your time. I'm very sorry about that.
Good. It's been great chatting.
But yeah, this is a movie that I really needed to speak to you about and really get into. And I'm happy that there's a movie out there that people can pick up and see that side of things. And also get some pretty damn cool rap battle experience as well.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So I'm going to let you go, my friend.
Sweet. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your night, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, it's Brian.
And it's Tony.
From the Salty Language Podcast. We're a podcast with two friends that have, you know, been around each other for, like 70 years or something, and, you know, we talk about kind of everything.
We're like a married couple that you hate.
Yeah, basically something like that. No, we talk about, you know, just weird news, stuff that happens in our life, pop culture, really anything. It's, you know, we just have a nice conversation and make up stuff along the way. So, yeah. And I guess, you know, you can find us at saltylanguage.com.
For sure. And I'm sure you'll be fine.
Well, also, you can find us on dangerentertainment.net.
Danger! Watch your back! Danger!
Entertainment.net, in case you missed it the first time.
So, yeah. That was me, basically, I don't know, blowing smoke off someone's ass, I guess. I just spent like a whole hour just like, oh man, I love your movie, man. I love what you're doing. I love that, man. You're so good, man. but honestly, like, yeah, that was a treat for me. I've had two experiences while doing this podcast on Twitter that have made me just buzz on why we do this whole thing. One of them was Tom Payton. Just when he got in touch with me after having read my Pandorica review, his first feature film, it blew me away that the director had even read it, and it blew me away even more that he wanted to speak to me. Blew me away even more that he came on the podcast. It's blown me away even more that we've been to the set of two of his movies now, and we're doing all this shit for him, and it's awesome. It blows me away every day. But this one as well, Ed Lilly, like when he contacted me about seeing the film and seeing my review, and saying thanks for having watched the movie and thank you for the review. That kind of just, it really hit home that we're doing something here. 365 Flicks is doing something, and we're going to keep bloody doing it because that's what we do. More of these interviews are incoming. We got loads of stuff coming up. We got some awesome names coming up. We've got some awesome interviews coming up. You're going to love them. I might be hyping that a bit too much. Yeah, probably am. But we have. So there you go. So I'm going to let this one go. Again, Ed Lilly, thanks for coming on. Check out Versus. Check it out. Go find it. Watch it. Tell everyone you love it. If you don't love it, tell me that you didn't love it, and then I'll tell you you're wrong on behalf of everyone that took part in the movie, and then, So, keep your eyes out. Keep your ears open. Lots and lots of great stuff out there. Versus is one of them. Awesome.
Hey everybody, this is Henno.
And this is Stephanie.
And we're from the Gotham Lights Podcast.
Also, the Orville Lights Podcast, sometimes.
They are two podcasts dedicated to the television show Gotham
and the Orville.
Now, where can they reach us, Steph?
I'm so glad you asked, Henno. You can find us on Twitter at Gotham Lights. You can also find us on Facebook, don't you know?
Don't you know?
Just by searching Gotham Lights. Gotham Lights Podcast at gmail.com.